For a while now, I've been wanting to upgrade the battle mechanics in Stokefire so that there's more interesting decisions that the players are making and more strategy to the game. So for the last couple weeks, Kelvin and I have been working on this new battle mechanics behind the scenes. There's, quite a bit of refactoring to do and work to do to make this happen. And it's going to take us a little bit more time, so we're not quite there yet. We're probably also going to do like a beta of a small group of testers to really make sure everything's ready, test out the new features, make sure that it's good to go. But in this video, I'm going to give you kind of like a high level overview of some of these new changes and things that we're adding so that you can just know what's going on, know what we've been working on, and maybe have some feedback and ideas for us as we're kind of finishing and building this out. So here I have like some rough designs for this. We've actually already done all the new UI for it and just kind of are doing all the functionality of the actual code now. So this you will see is a new tab called the Army tab that we're going to add. And this is going to replace all the battle mechanics that there currently is in Stokefire. So you're not going to be, choosing a wood or food resource to steal and trying to defend that. This will basically replace that. But it is taking some of those similar ideas that we had from that and kind of adding on to it. And then the other thing I wanted to do is make it so that your villagers are more involved in your army. And which also means that your village production is also more so a part of this, which is cool because then adds a lot of strategy to what you're doing with your village, like what resources you're getting is also going to add to what you can then do with your army, which will then also, just add a lot of strategy of like looking at other villages and seeing what you think they may be trying to build so that then you can decide how you're going to attack them. Okay, so let's look at this so that you can get an idea of what's kind of going on. So a part of this, we're going to add a new resource called stone, which I think will be cool to have another resource that you need to go and get. And stone will be used specifically, at least starting out for now, the idea is that stone will be used for building weapons. But you'll also potentially need some wood for weapons. Mostly it'll be wood and stone for weapons. And there'll be these 3 different weapons: spears, bow and arrow, and sword and shield, and they'll have a different, amount of stone and wood that you'll need to make each one, which you can probably guess, which one you're going to need more stone for or not with this. But at the same time, you're going to have to allocate some of your villagers to these weapons to build the weapons. And so kind of what happens is very similar to the logging camps or the farms, is you'll be allocating villagers, and over time, you'll slowly be creating more of the weapon. And also slowly over time, you'll be using up your resources to make those weapons. So you'll have to make sure that you have enough resources to continue building the weapons, as well as have, more villagers there. And the more villagers you allocate, the faster you'll be able to build these weapons over time. So this is kind of like the first step of building your army, is you have to have some weapons and you're going to have to use your resources to create those weapons. Now, after you have the weapons, you can then suit up your army, is what I'm kind of calling it. And so this is where you actually then allocate your villagers to suit up into the different weapons that you have. So, for spears, that goes with spearmen. For bow and arrow, that goes with the archers. And then for sword and shield, that goes with knights. And so you're suiting up your villagers into these different weapons, which then creates your army. And so then you got these 3 different kind of unit types that you can then go and attack somebody. So a couple things are going to kind of change with this to kind of make it more simpler at the same time, is that now instead of being able to attack a village every 6 hours, you'll only be able to attack every 12 hours. And there's not going to be this idea of offense and defense. There'll only be one battle. You only have one army, and that will kind of simplify things. So what that means is that whoever attacks first, that will be their battle, and that will be who they're attacking's battle. The person they attacked won't get a chance to attack somebody else within that 12-hour period. And so you'll kind of have maybe an upper hand a little bit if you attack first, because you'll get to kind of choose who you want to attack. And if you're not the one that attacks first, you got to be ready to defend with your army that you have set. And so then those villagers will be used up during that 12-hour period. And so kind of how this will work is it's going to have a very similar rock, paper, scissors kind of logic dependent on what your army types are that you have. So it will take which, units that you have. Certain units will be better versus other units, but then also it's going to take into account how many of those units you have. And then there'll be a little bit of randomness as well. So you can kind of imagine it'll be like this simulation on chain of this battle. And so you can kind of build strategies around that, build strategies around what you think other villagers are doing as well. Now, another really important part of this that will make this all work is your enemies not knowing what you're doing. If they knew that you were building certain kind of weapons and you had this many villagers allocated to a certain unit type, then it's just kind of, it's easy for them to know, oh, I should just make this army and then I can win. And so it's important that all of this stuff that you're doing on this army tab is hidden from other villages. And the way we're going to do that, we're still figuring out kind of the details of that, but the way that we're going to do that is with ZK snarks. And that will allow us to hide how many of these different kinds of units you have, weapons you have, what your villagers are doing, but at the same time validate what you're doing on chain so that the logic can still work with the rest of the game and gathering resources and all that kind of stuff. So I think it's going to be really cool. We did do like if you were early enough in Stokefire, we had like a V2 of battles where we kind of tried to do something with having villagers be involved, where you're allocating villagers to your battle. And this was kind of the problem, is that people could see maybe how many villagers you had in battle, and that kind of gave them a little bit too much info about what to do to attack you, and it just made the battles too easy. So this is kind of taking our learnings from that and how we can use that to make these battles even more interesting with these weapons, but also very key, hiding the information of what you're doing. Now, once you actually attack somebody, at that point, it's going to put on chain, like it's going to become transparent to everybody what your army looks like. And that's why it's important that you have a little bit more time in between battles every 12 hours to maybe switch up your strategy, kind of choose something else to go out and build with your villagers. Because at that point, everything is on chain. It's all got to be transparent for the battle to actually take place and that simulation to happen. All right, so that's it. That is the overview of kind of this new stuff. I think it's going to be interesting. I think it's going to be fun. So let me know if you have any feedback. And like I said, we have a bit more work to do, and then we're going to start doing some testing with this, which will be fun and exciting. So yeah, just wanted to update you on what's going on, and keep stoking the fire.